Hey, what's going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and welcome to episode number 2 of If I Was the Showrunner for The Walking Dead Season 10. We are now on episode 2, which is titled Boundaries. So, first things first, I want to get out of the way is there's a few things in the previous episode that I did not mention. This going to happen often. A lot of writers do stuff like this where as they're writing new episodes, they have to go back to the old ones and change things. And the only change I changed was, first of all, the Frankie's daughter, her name is not Monica. It's Alice now. Because apparently I looked into it. Someone mentioned it in the comments. Her name is actually Alice, and it actually is true. Her name is Alice. So Frankie's daughter, or adopted daughter, whatever the hell you want to call it, her name is Alice, not Frankie. Also, there is 2 scenes that were cut from the episode that I didn't include, but are now going to be part of the episode. So, like, they weren't in there previously, so they are now. So I wouldn't say cut, I would say add into the episode. This includes a scene introducing the characters of Stanley, Drew, and Becca. So there's a family of 3. You got Stanley and Becca are married, and Drew is their kid. Drew is like 17 years old, maybe 18. And they're part of Alexandria. They were introduced in the previous episode in a scene where they confront Michonne, and they're talking to Michonne about the water supply. And this is another scene that's important, is because there's this water tower that is connected between all the communities where they get their water. They were talking about it, they were asking about it, because they're relatively new to this whole idea of the water supply, and they were questioning about how it works and how they get the water and stuff like that. Michonne was just letting them know. And then there's also a scene of people collecting water from the water supply. This will come into importance later in this episode. So let's get into episode 2, which is titled Boundaries. The episode starts with Alpha and Beta regrouping at their camp. Beta says it went well. They only lost a few, but they killed more. Alpha says she doesn't want to release the herd just yet. She wants a war to ensue. She also says she doesn't want to give them too much time to regroup, so she wants to attack again. Beta tells them that they left the kingdom so that no one's there, but Beta also says that some of their people have found another community that they are held up in, which he's referring to Alexandria, of course. So that means Whisperers did find Alexandria. Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Ezekiel, Eugene, Scott, Laura, Diane, Sydney, Rachel, Beatrice, Cal, and Alden all discuss plans in the Barrington house. Ezekiel looks outside to see Jerry just laying in the grass, staring into the sky. Eugene says he has to get to bullet production as soon as possible. Daryl asks the Oceanside girls where the hell this military base is. Sydney says last time they checked it was full of walkers. Daryl says he doesn't care, they gotta try. Beatrice says it's pretty far north, it's past D.C. Michonne tries to make the argument that they don't have to make this a war. Ezekiel says there's no other option. Daryl, Carol, Eugene, Aaron, Sydney, Beatrice, Diane, and Laura decide to head for the military base. Michonne says she has to return to Alexandria to make sure her people are okay. She leaves with Scott. Back at Alexandria, Judith colors in her kitchen and talks to Lydia. She basically tries to befriend her, and they have some nice conversation about where they came from and all that good stuff. And Judith asks a lot of questions to Lydia about her people, and Lydia kind of seems uncomfortable. She doesn't really want to answer the questions, so Judith backs off. Father Gabriel, Sadiq, and Tanya work on discussing plans for future buildings. Sadiq recommends that they work on maybe some fortifications to the wall. Stanley, Becca, and Drew approach Gabriel. They've always been a part of the community for a long time. They've just been in the backgrounds. Stanley tells Gabriel that Becca is feeling a bit ill and wonders if they have any medication. Sadiq shows her where they can help her. Drew tells Gabe and Tanya he's kind of bored and would like to help with the wall. A guard sees a few walkers approaching the gates at Alexandria. He hits one of them with his bow and arrow, as one of them tosses a pipe bomb at the gates of Alexandria when he reloads an arrow. So it's a Whisperer, not a Walker. More walkers approach as the Whisperers sneak through the Walker herd into the woods with some other Whisperers. The guards run off as Alexandrians come running to see what happened. The group are forced to fight against the dead. Father Gabriel mentions for everyone to keep their distance. Judith comes running outside with her revolver and starts hitting some walkers. Lydia is nervous and doesn't help at first. She sees a few Whisperers hopping over the back fences of Alexandria, so she goes back there and confronts them. She tells them to leave as they try to convince her to come back to her mother. Lydia says no. The 3 Whisperers then come running at her as she runs back into the house. The Whisperers chase after her. Tanya is stabbed in the stomach by a Whisperer. Stanley and Becca fight off a couple of walkers as Becca is grabbed by one of them and tossed into the walker herd. Stanley grabs the guy and stabs him in the chest and pushes him off into the herd as well. He screams in agony for his wife as he sees her getting devoured by walkers. Father Gabriel saves Tanya and brings her to Sadiq, who pulls her over to cover. The Whisperers start tossing more pipe bombs at houses and Alexandria buildings. Lydia hides in the house and grabs a knife from the kitchen. She sneaks around to the living room as the 3 Whisperers split up through the house to find Lydia. Lydia waits for one of them to walk in as she swings a knife at him. The Whisperer grabs the knife, but she's able to grab his knife and impale him through the stomach. Then she takes the knife and stabs him multiple times in the head. The 2 Whisperers then come from behind and attack Lydia. They throw her against the wall and try to tie her hands back up with a rope. Judith comes into the house and shoots the Whisperer in the back. Lydia grabs a potted plant and smashes it over the Whisperer's head. Lydia gets ready to stab that one in the head as well, but she hesitates as the man starts begging for his life. Judith keeps her gun aimed at the guy she shot in the back, but the guy seems like he's dead. Rosita comes running into the house to make sure she was okay. Lydia sits there crying. Gage is seen outside of the house in a bush as he hops the fence and escapes Alexandria after trying to get Negan to escape the other day. There's only a few walkers remaining as Michonne and Scott arrive and take out the last walkers. Michonne runs to check on Judith as the others see the horror that just unfolded with a couple of their people dead. Tanya survives, greatly injured though. Michonne talks over with Gabe, Sadiq, Nora, and Rosita about what the plan is that they went over with at Hilltop. A whole group of Alexandrians rally up outside the council building. They all demand to know what the hell is going on. Michonne explains it the best she can without saying that they're actually going to war because she doesn't want to go to war. She doesn't want that to be what they're going to do. She wants to avoid war. The people don't really seem pleased with her response, but they walk off anyways. Later that night, Gage returns to Hilltop as Marco questions where he went. Gage says he doesn't have to worry about it. Marco says, well, he's just making sure he doesn't do anything stupid, and Gage tells him to piss off. Magna Yumiko, Luke, Kelly, and Connie all debate leaving, and why else they would stay in this community with everything that's going down. Magna says they are part of them now, and they're not leaving. She basically makes the final decision for the group. Daryl, Carol, Eugene, Aaron, Sydney, Beatrice, Diane, and Laura reach the outskirts of the military base the next morning. They plan a way to get into the base without having to deal with the walkers. Diane and Laura decide to run down the fences that fence in the military base and smash on the fences to try to lead the walkers in the fields away as much as possible so the others can run across the field without much trouble. The others reach the building itself as they hop another fence. They reach a courtyard surrounded by military buildings and tents and such. The group starts searching the tents and collect any amount of bullet casings or supplies as possible. Daryl finds a long rifle. Laura and Diane are suddenly overrun by walkers that come from the woods. They are forced to make a run for it, and they climb up an 18-wheeler and stay put. Sydney and Beatrice enter a building, and it seems empty of any threat, but suddenly Beatrice is attacked by a walker. The walker has military gear on, but its mouth is not covered by the helmet, so that it can still bite her. Sydney quickly grabs the walker and tosses the walker off. As Sydney goes around the corner to see a whole group of these walkers coming towards her, she grabs Beatrice as they leave the building, and they keep the building held shut with a 2x4. The walkers pile up against the fences and end up knocking them down. The group is suddenly overrun in the courtyard. Forced to use weapons they find, they fight off. The group stands side by side and light up the walkers with machine guns and pistols, not really worrying about the ammo count. Diane and Laura use their machetes to cut an opening through them and return to the others. Eugene tells them they can't go back. He says if they want enough weaponry to take down the Whisperers, they need to keep looking. Daryl takes a good look at the rest of the walker group and pulls out his knife. He tells them to all stay together and watch each other's backs. Just like in Season 3, Episode 1, the group enter the walker herd in a circle, watching all sides and take out the walkers together. The group spend the next few hours getting as much supplies as possible and pack them into the carriage they have with horses that they kept at a shed near the base. Michonne goes to Negan and tells him about what has happened. Negan asks if everyone is okay. Michonne says not everyone. Michonne tells him that people want to go to war and attack the Whisperers, but she knows it's not a good idea. She knows it'll just lead to more people dying. Negan says not if they do it right. Negan brings up the idea that he could infiltrate the camp by himself. He can join them, act like an ally, and take them out from the inside. Michonne says he knows that she will never trust him no matter what. Negan says she doesn't have to trust him. She just has to let it happen, and she'll see what happens. Michonne denies it and heads out. Negan quickly mentions to her that some kid from Hilltop came to his cell the other day and was going to let him free, but he told him to piss off. Michonne asks what kid. Negan says his name was Gage or Cage or something like that. Negan says he was just trying to make sure the kid didn't do anything stupid to get any one of them hurt. Michonne tells him to stop acting like he gives a shit. Negan says he's basically one of them, so he kind of has to care. Negan tells her to think about his proposal. When Michonne walks out, she is confronted by Stanley, who seems disgruntled. He tells Michonne that their people need that feeling of vengeance, regardless of the boundaries set by the Whisperers. Michonne returns to her house and talks with RJ and Judith. Judith basically isn't very happy. She tells Michonne that she killed someone. She killed a Whisperer with her gun, and she doesn't really know how to deal with that because it's the first person she's ever killed. Michonne makes sure that Judith understands that these people aren't actually good, and it's okay if you have to kill one of them. They kind of have a nice scene where they talk, and it's a lighthearted scene, which cuts over to Alpha, which is being shown putting Walker blood and guts into the water tower that runs in between the community. This is where the people obviously get the water for the communities, and she is seen doing this with a couple other Whisperers. And boom, cut to black. That is episode number 2 of season 10. Obviously a little bit shorter than the first episode. The first episode was an extended episode, a little bit longer, had more stuff going on for that reason. This is a normal length episode. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Give me some ideas for future episodes. I can use your ideas, and I'll definitely credit your ideas if I use them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.